The morning frost clung to the air like an omen, biting at the skin as movers carried the last pieces of furniture from the Jenkins home. "Do you really think we're going to let this old dog get in the way of our plans?" Jonathan sneered, his eyes flicking to Duke. The shivering German shepherd pressed against William's legs. After 30 years of raising 5 children as if they were their own, William and Grace Jenkins, now 72, were rewarded with betrayal. Their eldest, Jennifer, avoided Grace's teary eyes, clutching a designer bag. "Mom, Dad, this is best. You can't take care of yourselves, let alone a dog." If you've ever known the sting of betrayal by the ones you loved most, you'll want to follow this story until the very last word, because what William, Grace, and Duke built out of abandonment became a victory their children could never destroy. Subscribe now and stay with us through this journey of pain turned to power. Grace's voice trembled but remained steady. "We mortgaged this house for Jonathan's medical school. We spent our retirement saving Jennifer's restaurant. Where was this concern for us when you needed our money?" The answer was a cruel silence, broken only when Michael muttered, "Now you're a burden." That word cut deeper than any knife. Burden. When the children's cars vanished down the road, William clutched the keys to a rusted pickup and the map to an abandoned cabin in the Colorado mountains, left in a will they'd never visited. "They sent us here to die," Grace whispered. Duke pressed his head into her lap as if promising. Together they would survive. The 280-kilometer drive was endless, the heater broken, the couple shivering while Duke kept Grace warm. Every memory of sacrifices, nights without sleep, double shifts, cars sold, debts taken on, stabbed like ghosts in the cab of that pickup. And when they arrived, despair almost won. The cabin was rotten, the roof half collapsed, the stench of mold thick enough to choke. But Duke, nose to the ground, moved with purpose. He unearthed a rusted key, led them to a locked cellar, and revealed tools, fuel, and a generator preserved like a secret waiting for them. William's tired eyes hardened into resolve. 50 years in construction. Did they really think 2 old bricklayers couldn't rebuild a cabin? For the first time in days, Grace smiled. Betrayal had planted a seed they never knew they carried. And as Duke barked into the winter air, it was clear, this was not the end. It was the beginning. The days were brutal, yet each hammer strike, each board repaired, rewrote their destiny. Grace filtered water through makeshift systems. William patched the roof with hands that still remembered the rhythm of work. But Duke's behavior was stranger still. Each dawn, he vanished into the woods, returning dripping wet, his fur shimmering with water that smelled different. Not mud, not swamp, something clean, medicinal. When Grace twisted her ankle carrying wood, the mystery revealed itself. Duke tugged at her pants and led them through the forest to a hidden clearing. Steam curled from a crystal pool nestled among rocks. Grace dipped her foot, and within minutes the swelling eased, the pain vanished. "This water isn't normal," she whispered. Duke sat like a sentinel, proud of his discovery. Days turned into weeks. Grace's arthritis faded. William's back pain disappeared. Their energy returned. Then a pickup rumbled up the mountain. Frank Morrison, a retired veterinarian and their new neighbor, extended a calloused hand. "Not many survive winters here, but I see you've got a secret weapon." He nodded at Duke, who stood watch at his side. Frank tested the spring and confirmed what legends whispered. Water rich in rare minerals, known to heal. "You must protect this," he warned. "If the wrong people find out, they'll destroy it." His words were prophetic. For while William and Grace were finding rebirth, their children were circling like vultures. Jennifer's call came first. "Mom, it's dangerous living like this. You need a nursing home." Grace answered calmly. "We've never been better." Jonathan tried next, sneering. "That property is worthless. Stop wasting your savings." Grace hung up, smiling. "They think we're still who we used to be," she told Frank. "They have no idea who we've become." By spring, the cabin wasn't just standing, it was thriving. Frank helped them build guest quarters. Grace's garden bloomed with herbs. And visitors began to arrive. first locals, then strangers from towns beyond, all desperate for healing. Duke guided them with uncanny instinct, leading each person to the spring most suited to their condition. News spread like wildfire. An old couple and a miracle dog in the Colorado mountains had built a sanctuary of healing. 6 months later, William stood at the gate watching cars snake up the dirt road. The Duke Ranch was booked months ahead, charging $800 per weekend for retreats that included spring sessions, organic meals, and Duke's assessments. Grace, looking 10 years younger, moved with grace and confidence. Frank became their partner. And Duke, he was no longer just a dog. He was a legend. Then came the inevitable call. Jonathan's voice, stripped of arrogance, held a new tone: desperation. "Dad, what's going on? I see posts about a healing sanctuary. Is it true you're making 50 grand a month?" William's answer was calm. "Just taking care of the place you called worthless." But the children weren't done. Jennifer tried again, softer now. "Mom, let's expand. Bring in investors. Make it bigger." Grace listened, then asked simply, "Where was this love when you abandoned us?" She ended the call before her daughter could answer. The CNN report sealed the children's fate. The world watched as Duke guided a man in a wheelchair to a spring. Patients with arthritis, depression, and pain testified to miraculous recovery. Scientists studied the waters. The waiting list grew longer. Offers for millions came pouring in, but William and Grace refused. "We're building more than money," Grace told the reporter. "We're building a legacy." That's when all 5 children arrived at the gate in their luxury cars, demanding to talk about family responsibilities. But Grace had prepared. She played recordings of their phone calls, discussing how long their parents would survive the winter before splitting the inheritance. Silence hung like an executioner's blade. Duke stood tall between William and Grace and the children, his body a wall of loyalty. "You abandoned us," William said with dignity. "When you needed us, we gave you everything. When we needed you, you gave us keys to a ruin. That is the difference between family and parasites." Grace added quietly, "Our door is open to love, but it will never open to greed." Guests arrived just then, greeted warmly by Duke, who treated them with a loyalty their own children had never shown. 2 years later, the property once mocked as worthless was valued at $2 million. The Duke Ranch was world-renowned, featured in documentaries and scientific journals. Duke, now 11, was hailed as the most famous therapy dog in America. His trained pups carried forward his legacy. William and Grace lived with vitality, surrounded by real family. Frank, his wife, their workers, and the countless visitors who returned again and again. "Our blood children left us," William said one evening, "but the universe gave us a family of choice." Grace smiled, watching Duke lay his head in her lap as he had done that first night of betrayal. "And Duke taught us the greatest truth. Loyalty is priceless." The children tried one last time at Christmas, bringing expensive gifts and shallow apologies. But Duke, never forgetting, stood firm between them and his true family. Grace's words were final. "The door will always be open to genuine love, but not to those who see us as a missed opportunity." The cruelest betrayal had become the foundation of their greatest triumph. And when Duke passed at 16, his trained descendants carried forward the healing mission that began the day an abandoned couple chose to rise from ashes. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs hope, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is building something so beautiful that those who betrayed you can never destroy it.